Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Well, even as we speak, US President Donald Trump is addressing the US Congress at the moment where he has earlier condemned the Kansas shooting incident. Well, that will be our big story. More details to follow in the bulletin. Let us start with the headlines. High voltage campaigning for remaining two phases in Uttar Pradesh continues. The Prime Minister to hold two rallies. Akhilesh Yadav is 7, Mayawati 1. Several Congress leaders also campaigning. GDP figures indicate a marginal impact of note ban. CSO figures show economy grew at 7% in October to December quarter of 2016-17 fiscal. Opposition says numbers doubtful. Donald Trump condemns a fatal shooting of an Indian engineer in Kansas. In maiden address to the joint sitting of Congress, says there is no room for such acts in the US. Russia and China veto West-backed UN resolution imposing sanctions on Syria over chemical weapons use. Resolution would have banned the sale of helicopters to Syria. And ICC match referee Chris Broad gives a poor rating to Pune test pitch that India lost to Australia. BCCI now has 14 days to respond to the report. Well, first up, we'll bring you all the news from the states that are going to polls this year. Well, campaigning is on in full swing for the remaining two phases of elections in Uttar Pradesh to be held on 4th and 8th of March. Well, today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the two rallies in Maharajganj and Deoria that vote in the 6th phase. Now, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav continues with his string of rallies, with 7 of them slated in Deoria and Mau that vote in the penultimate phase. Now, BSP Chief Mayawati's rally is slated in Sonbhadra today. Well, Congress's Ghulam Nabi Azad will address a rally in Gorakhpur, while Raj Babbar and Pramod Tiwari will address the rallies in Maharajganj and Gorakhpur today. And ahead of the 6th phase of polling for the Uttar Pradesh Assembly elections on 4th of March, now political bigwigs had a busy day on Tuesday in the state. Now, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav once again attacked the Prime Minister for his fractured mandate remark. BSP Chief Mayawati and Home Minister Rajnath Singh also held various rallies in the poll-bound state.
Campaigning for the remaining two phases of elections in Uttar Pradesh, several political parties held poll rallies in the state. Addressing a political meeting at his father Mulayam Singh's constituency Azamgarh, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his fractured mandate remark. He said those talking about getting 300 of the 403 seats were now settling for a coalition government.
पहले तो प्रधानमंत्री जी उनकी पार्टी के लोग कहते थे कि 300 सीटें जीत करके आ रहे हैं। पता नहीं बहु आते आते तक कहने लगे कि गठबंधन की सरकार बनने जा रही है। और अभी आजमगढ़ शायद नहीं आए हैं। और आजमगढ़ इसलिए नहीं आए कि वो जानते हैं 10 की 10 सीटें साइकिल के संग जाने वाली हैं।
BSP Chief Mayawati addressed two rallies in Ghazipur and Mau districts. In Mau, she alleged that the ruling BJP at the centre wanted to end reservation in government jobs. She also urged voters, especially women, to vote in large numbers for the BSP.
कि केंद्र की सरकार ने अपने लोकसभा चुनावी वायदों का अब तक लगभग 1/4 हिस्सा भी कार्य पूरा नहीं किया है और जिन पर से जनता का ध्यान बांटने के लिए अब तक इन्होंने किस्म किस्म की नाटकबाजी भी खूब की है जो आप लोगों से छिपी हुई नहीं है।
Addressing an election rally at Mau, Home Minister Rajnath Singh expressed confidence of a BJP majority in the assembly. He also blamed the Congress, the SP and the BSP for the backwardness in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
News from poll-bound Manipur now, and less than a week left for the two-phase assembly polls in the state. Now, electioneering in the economic blockade hit the state is gradually now picking steam. Now, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed his first poll rally in Imphal. BJP President Amit Shah also held two election rallies in the state, while Shah reached the tribal-dominated Southern Hills districts to push forward his party's campaign in the state.
With campaigning for the two-phased assembly polls in Manipur gaining momentum, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi addressed his first rally in the state. Addressing a crowd in Imphal, Rahul attacked PM Modi to reveal the contents of the Naga Accord to the people of the state. He said till date no one knows what is in this prepaid accord. The Congress leader also attacked Modi over Sahara and Birla dairy cases.
मणिपुर के चीफ मिनिस्टर को नागा अकॉर्ड के बारे में कुछ नहीं मालूम था। अजीब सी बात, मैंने कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट सोनिया जी को कहा नहीं, ये बॉबी जी को नहीं मालूम। फिर हमने कहा कि देखो सरकार में पूछते हैं किसी से। हमने नरेंद्र मोदी जी के मंत्रियों से पूछा, पता लगा उनको भी नहीं मालूम।
Rahul also highlighted the developmental schemes led by the Ibobi Singh government. He said that only Congress government can fulfill the people's dreams in the state.
मैं चाहता हूं कि ऐसा दिन आए, इबोबी जी अमेरिका जाएं, अमेरिका में वो एक शॉल खरीदें और शॉल पे लिखा हो मेड इन मणिपुर। इस काम को करने के लिए जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट का काम करते हैं उनको सपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा। जैसे देवी जी ने सड़कें बनाई, उस प्रकार से उनके लिए सड़कें बनानी पड़ेंगी।
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi raised direct question against Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he accused him of not fulfilling the promises made to Manipur. Rahul Gandhi assured the people of Manipur that no one can touch the geographical integrity of the state.
BJP President Amit Shah was also in Imphal, where he held a rally. While speaking to the people, Shah alleged that the Ibobi Singh-led Congress government in the state was corrupt. He said that the Manipur Chief Minister has only inaugurated half-made projects and has also misused central funds. However, he asserted that the Manipur has the potential to become a model state.
स्वास्थ्य सेवाएं, हेल्थ के लिए जो सेवाएं चाहिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए, अगर वो मणिपुर में उपलब्ध नहीं है, रोड बने नहीं है, मणिपुर के अंदर बेरोजगारी है और मणिपुर के अंदर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की स्थिति ठीक नहीं है, तो इसके लिए केवल और केवल इबोबी सिंह की एक कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार जिम्मेदार है।
For the first time, the Ibobi Singh-led Congress party faces a stiff electoral challenge from its arch-rival BJP in the assembly elections that are set for March 4th and March 8th. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And now shifting focus to the big story coming in from the United States, and President Donald Trump there has condemned the killing of an Indian engineer, Srinivas Kuchibhotla. In his maiden address to the joint sitting of the U.S. Congress, Donald Trump said that the U.S. condemns the hate in all its ugly forms. He also said that to protect its citizens, he has directed the Justice Department to form a task force on reducing violent crime. Trump also said that he will not allow the mistakes of recent decades past to define the course of America's future.
As we mark the conclusion of our celebration of Black History Month, we are reminded of our nation's path toward civil rights and the work that still remains to be done. Recent threats targeting Jewish community centers and vandalism of Jewish cemeteries, as well as last week's shooting in Kansas City, remind us that while we may be a nation divided on policies, we are a country that stands united in condemning hate and evil in all of its very ugly forms.
All right, we'll keep a very close tab on Trump's maiden address to the U.S. Congress there. Meanwhile, back home, India has retained the tag of the fastest growing major economy in the world. Well, the data released by the Central Statistics Office, or the CSO, on a Tuesday has showed that the economy grew at 7% in the October to December quarter of the fiscal year 2016-17, despite the impact of demonetization. The CSO also projected that the growth is due to the growth in agriculture, mining and in manufacturing as compared to the first advance estimates. The rate of the growth in the third quarter slowed slightly from the 7.4% in the preceding quarter, while the Central Statistics Office also retained the growth forecast for the fiscal year ending in March 2017 at 7.1%. Agriculture and allied sectors growth is projected at 4.4% in 2016-17, up from 0.8% last fiscal.
और आंकड़े के हिसाब से जो ग्रोथ प्रोजेक्शन है इस साल का जो ग्रोथ 16-17 का वो 7% से ऊपर है। और जहां तक डिमोनेटाइजेशन का सवाल है, डिमोनेटाइजेशन का जितना हद तक लोग मतलब कह रहे थे कि डिमोनेटाइजेशन का नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट आएगा जीडीपी के ऊपर, उस तरह का कोई नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट नहीं है।
Advance estimates, second advance estimates of agriculture, which were released by the Ministry of Agriculture, now show a much higher level of agricultural growth than they had shown earlier. They are projecting a 9.9% growth for Kharif crops as against 8.9% earlier. In mining and quarrying, IIP for the period April to December is registering a growth of 0.9% as compared to a negative 0.2% which was available in April to October, which was used by us at the time of the first advance. Similarly, in manufacturing, April to December shows in a growth of 0.5% as against a negative 1% which was available at the time of April to October. These are some of the reasons why the second advance estimate has come in these segments as higher.
Meanwhile, a Paris-based think tank OECD has cut India's growth forecast to 7% for the 2016-17 in a view of demonetization. Well, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has also forecast the country's economic growth to rise further to 7.7% in 2018-19, while supporting India's move to demonetize high-value currency notes. OECD Secretary General Jose Angel Gurria has said that demonetization might have impacted the consumption pattern, but its impact will continue to bite in the coming quarters.
Demonetization is not going to have, it may have something about consumption patterns in the quarter that just passed. Right now, as the situation normalizes, then you're going to have a normalization. But the impact is going to continue to bite. This is not going to be affecting, investment and therefore jobs. Because before jobs, it doesn't happen overnight. It has to do with investment flows. And it has to do with the level of confidence.
The opposition parties, however, have doubted the GDP figures. Now, Congress leader Anand Sharma said that demonetization led to massive job losses as companies cut down on production and overall economic activity. Let's take a listen.
जो असंगठित क्षेत्र में उद्योग हैं, वहाँ जो नुकसान हुआ है, वहाँ जो कारखाने बंद हुए हैं, वहाँ जो नौकरी टूटी है, उसका अनुमान अभी सरकार के पास और किसी के पास नहीं है। पर ये कहना एक सही बात होगी कि अभी तक भारत की इकोनॉमी को कम से कम 2.5 लाख करोड़ हमारी जीडीपी को नुकसान हो चुका है, जो अपने आप में 1% से कहीं ऊपर है।
On to some other news now. Well, the Supreme Court has directed the Sahara Group to deposit 5,092.6 crore rupees by 7th of April in the SEBI Sahara account to keep its chief Subroto Roy out of jail. Well, the said amount will be refunded to investors. The bench refused to give 6 months' time to the group to sell its properties, but allowed it to sell assets mentioned in the list furnished by it for refund of money. However, the bench also observed that in case the group deposits a substantial amount out of the required one by 7th of April, it may extend the time to sell other properties as well. Well, the judges allowed the group to sell 13 out of the 15 properties and can also sell off the properties which are unencumbered and mentioned in the other list. Well, senior lawyer Kapil Sibal, appearing for Sahara, submitted that the court can attach some of the properties as security, and the group would give an undertaking that if it does not pay the amount in 22 months, these assets can be sold, to which the bench suggested that e-auction method can be used to speed up the process. In Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news.
The art of painting comes to us from the prehistoric period. Paintings are also a valuable source of information about their age. Like this depiction of the wedding procession of Dara Shikoh. The eldest son of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan had a Mughal wedding with distinctive Indian elements. Like the veil he wears to the pomp and show of the Bharat in Hindu weddings.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, shifting focus to the students' unrest in Delhi University now, where a case of sexual harassment and criminal intimidation has been registered in connection with the alleged rape threats to student Gurmehar Kaur. Well, the FIR was registered following Kaur's complaint to the Delhi Commission for Women. Now, she has received the threats after she began an online campaign against the ABVP following the violence at Ramjas College. In another case, the two alleged ABVP activists were arrested for attacking two AISA supporters on the North Campus during a protest march there. Well, Ramjas College had witnessed large-scale violence between the members of the left-backed AISA and the BJP-backed ABVP. The reason for the clash was an invite to JNU student Umar Khalid and Sheila Rashid to address a seminar there. Meanwhile, in a related development, the National Human Rights Commission issued a notice to Delhi Police Commissioner over allegations of police excesses during the clashes. The row also found echo at a meeting of a parliamentary standing committee which questioned Delhi Police Commissioner Amulya Patnaik, leading to the registration of an FIR in the case. Now, Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal also promised strict action against those who are found violating law and order. And Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal earlier met him seeking action against the ABVP activists. Now, staying with the Delhi University violence row, hundreds of students and teachers of the university as well as the Jawaharlal Nehru University and Jamia Millia Islamia held a protest march demanding what they called their space to debate. The protesters were mainly students of the left forums like the All India Students Association. Now, police were deployed in good numbers to prevent a rerun of the clashes that were witnessed between ABVP and AISA last week. Now, the ABVP has said it will also take out a protest march tomorrow, calling for an on-campus exclusion of the left.
Students and teachers in Delhi on a march to save universities from what they call the onslaught of the ABVP and curbing of dissent. Slogan shouting protesters from Delhi University colleges, JNU and Jamia Millia Islamia holding posters marched through the roads of North Campus towards the Arts Faculty building. Most of them belonged to left fora.
You have a situation where one organization today is trying to impose its ideological positioning. Since they cannot do it with reason, they are resorting to violence and terror. That has to be opposed by any Democrat, and I think what Gurmehar has done was a big service to uphold the basic constitutional values of the Republic of India.
Earlier, college student Gurmehar Kaur withdrew from her social media campaign against the ABVP after allegedly receiving threats from members of the RSS-backed outfit. Minister of State for Home Kiran Rijiju also clarified his statements on the controversy.
एक जवान बच्ची हैं, कॉलेज में पढ़ती हैं, उनका अपना एक फ्रीडम है, उनका अपना सोचने का एक तरीका है, उनको लेकर के कोई विवाद का विषय बनाना ठीक नहीं है, वो बच्ची हैं। मेरा सिर्फ ये जो वामपंथियों को कहना है कि आप लोग जब भी हमारा कोई जवान शहीद होते हैं तो आप लोग जश्न मनाते हैं, और आज आप यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज में जाकर के लोगों का, हमारे जवान लड़कों लड़कियों का आपको गुमराह करने का कोशिश करता है, ये ठीक नहीं है।
क्या बोलने की आजादी के नाम पर देश को तोड़ने की अभियान चलाया जाएगा? कश्मीर को आजाद कर दो, बस्तर को आजाद कर दो, भारत मां के टुकड़े होंगे, और जो बात कही जाती है जेएनयू कैंपस में, अब वही स्वर डीयू में कहने की बात हो रही है, तो ये हम ठीक नहीं मानते हैं।
The police registered a case of sexual harassment and criminal intimidation against unknown persons in connection with the rape threats against Gurmeher. Supporting Gurmeher, the Aam Aadmi Party led by Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal demanded action against the ABVP for allegedly triggering violence on the campus last week.
जिन लोगों ने भी ये मारपीट की है, उन लोगों के खिलाफ सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाए, उनको गिरफ्तार किया जाए। जिन लोगों ने भी राष्ट्र विरोधी नारे लगाए, उनको गिरफ्तार किया जाए।
Senior party leaders also made a representation to Delhi Police Commissioner Amulya Patnaik in support of Gurmeher Kaur.
The cyber crime cell of the crime branch of Delhi Police has registered a case under section 354A and 506 of IPC and section 67 of the IT Act, and investigation has been taken up.
Gurmeher Kaur, a Kargil war hero's daughter and a first-year English student at Lady Shri Ram College, is at the center of the controversy after she expressed her opposition to the stance of the RSS-backed Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad last week. She protested after the cancellation of an event involving JNU student leaders Umar Khalid and Shehla Rashid triggered clashes between the ABVP and left-backed ISA last week. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's get you the weather update now. Well, in its summer forecast for the season, Indian Met Department has predicted above normal temperatures across the country for the summers ahead. Well, according to IMD, several states are likely to witness heat wave conditions, with the northwest region of the country likely to be worst affected, with the temperatures rising more than 1 degree Celsius above normal. Well, the IMD said that the deviation from the normal temperature would reduce progressively while moving towards the southern regions of the country. It also said that borderline to weak La Nina conditions were currently prevailing over the Pacific Ocean, and these were likely to weaken further and become neutral ahead of the monsoon season. Now, 2016, remember, has been recorded as the hottest year since 1901. On to some other news now. Well, a health survey conducted by the government has shown positive trends, including improved sex ratio and decline in infant mortality rate during 2015-16. Well, the National Family Health Survey for 2015-16 was conducted after collecting information from 6 lakh households. It also provided district levels estimates for the first time. Well, according to the findings, the infant mortality rate fell from 57 to 41 per 1,000 live births since the last survey a decade ago. The IMR dropped by more than 20 percentage points in Tripura, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Arunachal Pradesh, Rajasthan and Odisha. The sex ratio at birth, that is the number of females per 1,000 males, improved from 914 to 919 at the national level, with the highest in Kerala, followed by Meghalaya and Chhattisgarh. Well, Haryana also witnessed a significant increase from 762 to 836. On to some other news now, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to visit Israel by the middle of this year. Well, the details of the visit are not yet known, but this will be the first visit by any Indian Prime Minister to the Jewish nation. While Prime Minister Modi visits the Jewish nation, both the countries are expected to hold talks in areas ranging from agriculture to defense to cybersecurity and innovations. Well, PTI is quoting sources in the Ministry of External Affairs as saying that the visit could take somewhere around June. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is also likely to visit India this year. The visit is being planned as the two nations celebrate 25 years of diplomatic ties this year. Well, during the last day of his 5-day UK visit yesterday, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley held a series of meetings with UK investors. While Jaitley projected India as one of the brightest spots for investments amid global economic slowdown, Jaitley highlighted the issue of mobility of Indian IT professionals as one of the considerable concern. He also represented the Indian government at a gala launch of UK-India Year of Culture hosted by Queen Elizabeth II at the Buckingham Palace. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Theresa May broke protocol by dropping in on a meeting between Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and his counterpart Philip Hammond, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, on Tuesday. Now, Brexit and its implications on the Indo-UK ties, as well as the issue of certain individuals who have overstayed in Britain in an apparent reference to liquor baron Vijay Mallya, were among the topics that were reportedly touched upon during the meeting. Meanwhile, Jaitley and Hammond also discussed issues related to the upcoming economic and financial dialogue in New Delhi, which is scheduled for April this year. And moving on to sports now. Well, the pitch used for the first test between India and Australia in Pune has been given a poor rating by the ICC match referee Chris Broad. Well, in accordance with the ICC pitch and outfield monitoring process, Broad has submitted his report expressing concern over the quality of the pitch. The ICC has forwarded the match referee's report to the BCCI, which now has 14 days to respond. Remember, in the Pune test, Australia won the match by 33 runs, which ended in the post-T sessions of day 3. The visitors bowled out India for 105 and 107. Now, spinners accounted for 31 of the 40 wickets that fell during the test. Well, in a similar incident in November 2015, the Nagpur pitch was also rated poor by ICC match referee Jeff Crow during the India versus South Africa test match that ended inside 3 days with an emphatic victory for hosts then. Well, that's it from the Breakfast Bulletin team. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.